I would like to say that of all the people I've known that have died in the music business, Phil Lynott is probably one of the only ones I really miss. He was a great geezer.
Yeah, great band too.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of That Sound Podcast. And if you love music, you are in the right place. Today we are going to start a new series. We're going to go deep into the world of Thin Lizzy. We're going to go through each album. We're going to do a quick review of the albums, maybe pick out my 2 favourite songs. And then after I review the album, I'm going to give my ranking in a separate video from whatever it is, 1 to, let's say, 10. So to kick it off, we're going to start at the start. Thin Lizzy, the debut album. So it was released on the 30th of April 1971 with Decca Records, of course. It was produced by Nick Tauber and Scott English, a USA man, an American man. Nick worked with UFO in 1985. He also worked with Stiff Little Fingers in 1982. The overall length of the album, the original album now, we're going to stay with the original, the 10-track album that came out in 71. So it was 38 minutes and 39 seconds, which is quite short. Some of the tracks, let's go through all the tracks. The Friendly Ranger at Clontarf Castle, Honesty is No Excuse, Diddy Levine, Ray Gun, Look What the Wind Just Blew In, Era, Return of the Farmer's Son, one of my favourites, Clifton Grange Hotel, Saga of the Aging Orphan, and Remembering. So the band lineup, of course, Phil Lynott on vocals, Eric Bell on this one on guitars, and Brian Downey, of course, on the drums. Even at this early stage, Phil Lynott was emerging as this charismatic, energetic frontman poet on this, you know, wasn't afraid to express himself. And you have to remember how young these guys were. I believe Phil was 22 years old on this album, you know. Going through some of the tracks, he wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. You know, the spoken word on the opening track really sets the tone as well. Eric Belden, of course, a blues-influenced guitarist who added this kind of psychedelic and jazzy feel to this album as well. I feel like this album has a lot of different ingredients. You know, it has the psychedelic feel. It has the blues feel. It has the kind of ballad feel. And it does have the hard rock feel as well. Brian Downey, of course, had this kind of a jazz background. Like, Brian Downey is still rocking it to this day. His drumming is so good. Some of the opening tracks, too, reminded me of something that you might hear in a shaman, you know, something out in the Amazon, like an ayahuasca experience with that kind of hypnotic kind of drumming, you know. Very, very cool, though. Of course, I mentioned it was produced by Scott English, who is a US-based producer. Overall, I don't think the band were fully happy with the production. Of course, this is the debut album. They were really kind of just learning their trade at this stage. You know, I believe they got a 3-album contract, depending on how sales went on the first one. I think the overall sound on this album is quite good. I did read other reviews, and people were kind of saying that the sound was crap. Yes, the vocals have their moments. It's a bit scratchy in places. But it kind of fades out and fades in songs. I think the drumming is absolutely brilliant, killer sound on this. I think the guitars, there's so many different flavours of guitar on this. You have acoustic, you have almost strings being played as well in some tracks. And of course you have the electric guitar with Eric Bell absolutely killing it on some tracks. You know, not too far away from resembling Jimi Hendrix in some tracks, which I should get into. Some of the songs then, let's get into. Honesty is No Excuse. I think Phil Lynott really showcases his lyricism on this one. He's such a storyteller. He was so talented. Like, he is Ireland's greatest ever artist, if you ask me. He's so good. But his songwriting at this age, you have to remember how young he was and how he expressed, you know, it's a story. It's like a poet. It is a poet. It's a poet showcasing his story, his poem, with the music behind it. Like, 1970s, you know, like, there was so much going on. You had, you know, the like of Led Zeppelin. You had the blues kicking off, you know, Clapton and Rory Gallagher, of course. You know, he was really coming into it then. His live albums were starting to kick off, you know, live in Europe, and the Irish tour in 74 wasn't too far away. But there was a lot going on the scene in Ireland, is what I'm trying to say. But this was different.
Up to now, I used to tap dance, take a girl by the hand, say I need your romance. Oh, I had me some chance.
Era and Dublin, which was later released, really showcases that how much that Phil was involved in Irish mythology. He was in love with Ireland, and of course I'm sure we've all seen that documentary where the interviewer was asking him, about Great Britain, and he was adamant, no, Republic of Ireland. He was really into his Irish history, his Irish mythology, and he showcases that in a lot of tracks here too. Era, to be honest, listening to this album over the last few days, it's a good song, don't get me wrong, but I feel myself gravitating towards different songs on the album. Don't know about you. As we are reviewing this debut album, you can really see that we've all heard the later albums, how much the band evolved from this side, from this three-piece, of course, before they went to the dual guitar. But I really am digging this album. I haven't listened to it, I'll hold my hands up. I haven't listened to it in a long, long time. But I really enjoy the overall sound of it. I think it's an album that you could throw on while you're just chilling with friends. It's it can kind of do both. You can kind of listen to it on your own, but it's just the melodies and the different tempos as well. There's a lot of, you could almost call one or two of the tracks kind of prog rock, where there's, time signature changes. I believe it's called Diddy Levine, I found had a lot of time signatures, different drum tempos, and I think it's one of the longest songs on the track. So it has elements of prog rock as well.
The eunuch's king, he gave her the ring that you wore. Janice, the smiling daughter, who came from a marriage.
Ray Gunn and Look What the Wind Blew In are one of the most streamed songs on Spotify. And I can see why. It kind of has that hard rock feel that we probably be more familiar with when we listen to the newer stuff from Thin Lizzy, when we went back to that dual guitar. One track in particular, really, I heard elements of Emerald from Return of the Farmer's Son. And I wonder, did they go back and kind of pick out little snippets of songs and kind of made them into what it was, Emerald? I think if you go back and listen to that song, especially Brian Downey's drumming, I can really hear elements of the later stuff in that track. And like overall on this album, I feel like you could really say it's kind of like a demo where they were showcasing what they could do as the three-piece. But when you listen to the older albums like Jailbreak and Chinatown, like it sounds like a different band almost. We have to remember too how hard it was for Phil Lynott growing up in Ireland as a black man. People would have been, it was a different time. And even when we look back at like this album when it did drop, Rolling Stone didn't even review it. Of course, they were an unknown band. They were learning their trade, as I said earlier. But growing up for him, he took a lot of stick and he found it hard. But he expressed himself so well, and he is one of the most well-known Irishmen to this day. When people think of music, be that U2, be that Rory Gallagher, Gary Moore, Thin Lizzy, they are the heart and soul of Irish art and Irish culture, if you ask me. But fair play to Phil for fighting through the kind of knockback that he got by some of these media channels. Standout tracks for me, I would say Diddy Levine. I think it's so good. I think the songwriting is so good. When you read about it, when you really dissect the lyrics, like Diddy was, she wasn't too happy in her relationship. She always kind of was in one and wanted to go another way. And it really tells a great story. And then it kind of As time goes on through the song, it's her daughter and she's kind of doing the same thing where she's not happy in a relationship and she's always looking elsewhere. I think the songwriting in that, I think the music, I think the production in that song is really good. So that's one of my standout ones. Another standout for me is Return of the Farmer's Son. Excellent song. Really good song. I love Phil's, and the bass line in it is so good. So good. And I did read somewhere that the production team kept turning down Phil's bass volumes, and Phil was not happy with this at all, and he wouldn't even answer him in the recording studio, and he just keep turning it up, and they'd keep turning it down, and I think they clashed heads a little bit. But I believe that Scott also, let's just say, brought some extra ingredients to the studio that I did read that some of the guys don't even remember recording this, that they were maybe influenced by certain things. But overall, I think this album is excellent. I think the opening one as well, the Friendly Ranger at Clontarf, is so different, where it starts off as that poem and it kind of grows and gravitates into this kind of cool, psychedelic kind of ballad. It has everything. It's so different and so unique. Honesty is no excuse as well. Another well-written song. I think I was talking to my friend over in America. It's one of her favourite songs. Shout out to Shep. Yeah, when you really look at the lyrics, he was so ahead of his age. 22 years old writing these songs. It's crazy. It's so good. Era for me as well. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's probably not one of my favourite ones. It's so cool though, and I love his passion and his pride for Ireland. And listening back to that song, it does give you a warm feeling inside as an Irishman. Overall, do I think this album is underrated? I think so. When people are doing the rankings, it's always down at the bottom. I think this album is really, really good. I think I'd give it a strong 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think the creativity, songwriting, and overall musicianship, the drumming, the bass, and the guitar. Eric Bell, let's give Eric Bell his flowers. Like, he is a phenomenal guitarist. And he expressed himself so well on this album. From his acoustic playing to his electric playing. Like, some of the tracks, like Ray Gun, Jimi Hendrix would, if you threw that on without knowing, you'd be like, whoa. Like, he really shreds on some of these, and then he plays so beautifully on some of the acoustic stuff. And when the strings are involved in some of the tracks as well, it's just a really cool album. What would have happened if they stayed as a trio? Would they lasted the test of time? Did they need that change? Did they need that bigger sound with the dual guitars? What do you think? Who was your favourite guitarist for Thin Lizzy? It definitely was an ambitious album by the band, and I think it stands the test of time. It's over, 50 years old. Wow, that's nuts. Yeah, wow, 50 years old, over 50 years old. I think it stands the test of time. It was ambitious. They showcased their talents, songwriting, drumming, and guitarship. The production, I think, is pretty damn good. I don't know what these other people were listening to, absolutely shitting on this production. There's so much worse bands that were there in that time that was recorded so bad. This was a debut album by a band that was unknown, and I think the production is pretty good, pretty damn good. Do yourself a favour and re-listen to this album if you haven't listened to it in a long time. Give me what your top 2 songs would be and maybe one you'd skip. And stay tuned. Next album's coming up soon. Catch you in the next one.